You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB. Football Fever with News Talk ZB's voice of football, Jason Pine and Bonnie Jansen with Trees That Count. Donate a native tree and help us score the greatest goal.
Kia ora, welcome into Football Fever, powered by Trees That Count. I'm Jason Pine. With me is New Zealand Herald football writer Bonnie Jansen. Every day of the FIFA Women's World Cup, we'll bring you a fresh episode as we preview and review every single game of this highly anticipated tournament. The highs, the lows, the colours, the excitement, the elation and the devastation, and every emotion in between as we look forward to 64 games of football over the next month, both here and in Australia. Even saying that, Bonnie, 64 games of high-quality football. How are you feeling about that?
Oh, Piney, I'm so excited. I think, you know, it's at home, but it's also just the time zone of it. We can watch the games. We don't have to get up in the middle of the night, and so it's just going to be unreal. It
will indeed. Today we're going to have a look at the 8 groups and what might play out in each of them. Now, just reminding you, the top 2 from each group go through to the round of 16, the knockout rounds. Group A includes us, New Zealand, also Norway, the Philippines and Switzerland. Based here in New Zealand, we're going to have a decent look at New Zealand's chances on the podcast tomorrow. But if we look at Group A, what, in broad terms, are New Zealand's chances of getting out of this group?
I think we've got to use the home advantage, and so that's definitely helped our chances. Any other World Cup, if they had these teams against them, maybe the chances of getting out would be lower. But I think Norway will be a tough challenge. But the fact it's the opening game, we've got a crowd of 40,000 behind them. I'm backing them to get a point, and then I think we'll see how we go. But it's a must win against the Philippines and hopefully Switzerland as well. Yeah,
once we get to that Switzerland game, the dynamic will be known, right? We'll know how many points New Zealand will need to get out of the group. You're right, the Philippines is obviously the one that New Zealand will target. How much will emotion play a part, though, in that opening game on Thursday when, as you say, there are packed stands, it's the opening match of a home World Cup? Might that be enough to carry New Zealand to some sort of result?
I think whether it's a result or not, they need to get something out of that game. And if it's just keeping the fans on their side for the rest of the tournament, that will be enough because, it's going to be huge for Norway as well. They're going to be equally as nervous. So I think getting something out of that game, whether it's a goal, whether it's a good performance, obviously a win would be great. But I think it's keeping the fans on their side for the rest of the tournament will be key.
All right. So tomorrow, as I say, we'll have a look at that game in greater detail. New Zealand against Norway to open the World Cup. The second game in Group A is on Friday, the Philippines against Switzerland in Dunedin. Let's go to Group B, which contains Australia, the other co-host, the Republic of Ireland, Nigeria and Canada, who are the current Olympic champions. This group is based in Australia. It's kind of a niggly group for Australia, isn't it, with Canada there, but also the Republic of Ireland, who they play first.
Yeah, Group B for me is the pool of death. I think any of these teams can advance through to the round of 16 or do very well in the tournament. For me, I don't think Canada are getting through. I think Ireland and Nigeria have some really good individual strong talents, and Canada have had a tough build-up with a few, protesting against their governing body. So I think Australia are qualifying top of their group for sure, and the next 3 I'm not too sure, but it's going to be an exciting group for sure.
I guess as far as New Zealand fans are concerned, we're quite pessimistic, but Australians should be optimistic, shouldn't they, about their team and their chances. How far do you think they'll go?
I think they have got a really strong team, and you can see the hype across the Tasman, and the fans are really, really getting behind the team. So I think, by all means, I think Australia would be unhappy with anywhere, a knockout before the quarterfinals. So I think, a long way.
Yeah, well, and look, they will ride a wave of emotion of green and gold over there as well. Thursday night, Australia, Ireland and Sydney. Understand that one's sold out with 80,000 people turning up. On Friday, Nigeria against Canada in Melbourne.
Football Fever Podcast with Trees That Count. Donate a native tree and help us score the greatest goal.
Group C, Spain, Costa Rica, Zambia and Japan. This group is based in New Zealand, a real mixture of playing styles. It feels like it should be Spain and Japan, but Zambia beat Germany, the world number 2 side, the other day.
I mean, it was a friendly, but that's pretty cool for them. That's huge. And Germany, I mean, we'll get to that, but they're a strong side. They're world number 2. So, I mean, Japan have won it before. Spain have the best player in the world. So you'd think them, but love to see an underdog. Go Zambia.
Go Zambia, indeed. Costa Rica in there as well. So Spain, Costa Rica and Wellington on Friday. Zambia against Japan and Hamilton on Saturday. Even just reading out these games and these centres, the football fans in these match venues are going to have such a treat over the next month or so. Back to Australia for Group D. England, Haiti, Denmark and China. Now, England should progress, but Denmark are 13th in the world, China are 14th. So who gets out of this group with England?
It's another tight group, and yeah, as you say, England should walk through that pool pretty easy. But again, I mean, it's tight, and that's what we love to see at the World Cup. We love, the upsets, and that's what gets, the average fan becoming a mega fan, because they back these underdog teams. And it would be great to see Haiti as well. They played here in New Zealand earlier this year, so I think it'd be good to see them cause a few challenges for some of these teams.
Indeed. So Denmark and China play one another actually in their opening game in the group on Saturday in Perth. England, Haiti in Brisbane on the same day. Group E is in New Zealand. The darlings of the World Cup before it even starts, the United States, the Netherlands, who they beat in the final 4 years ago, Portugal, who are a very good side, and Vietnam, who are the rank outsiders in this group. The States, amazing. Double defending champions, 4-time winners, a galaxy of stars. They're favourites to win the World Cup, aren't they?
They're absolutely favourites. It'll be a third in a row for them, even though they don't like talking about the possibility of a three-peat. But they're just professional in all aspects, so they should breeze through get quite late in the tournament anyway. But this group is another exciting one. And I mean, I said it before, I am a Dutchie, so I'm kind of mad at myself for saying this, but I don't think the Netherlands are getting through. Portugal are good, and they showed they were good earlier this year, again at the Interconfederation playoff tournament in New Zealand. They're going to be a fun side to watch, Portugal, and this pool is another one that could cause some disruptions.
Yeah, look, it could. I think you're right. The States go through, but Portugal, I watched them in that tournament as well, and beating New Zealand, 5-0, I think it was. And the Silvers, Jessica and Deanna Silva, man, some skill in those two players. Vietnam may have a very, very tough road to hoe in Group E. Saturday, USA, Vietnam in Auckland, and then Sunday, the Netherlands against Portugal in Dunedin. That is a massive game. Looking forward to that in Group E. Group F, France, Jamaica, Brazil and Panama, based in Australia. Should be France and Brazil, shouldn't it? Two pretty big footballing nations.
Yeah, I mean, you look at those rankings there, you've got a 5 and an 8, and then you've got 43 and 52. It's unfortunate for those two, Jamaica and Panama, but France and Brazil have so many big names, so yeah, easy walk out for them.
Yeah, it seems like it, doesn't it? Panama were gutsy in qualifying through the playoffs, but yeah, I get the feeling it's France and Brazil. Last chance to see Mata, of course, for Brazil at this tournament.
Football Fever with Jason Pine and Bonnie Jansen with Trees That Count. Donate a native tree and help us score the greatest goal.
Group G, Sweden, South Africa, Italy, Argentina, a fascinating group of contrasting styles based here in New Zealand. What do you see happening in Group G?
I think Sweden, again, will walk through, but Italy and Argentina will be an exciting battle, because they're both based up here in Auckland. They're going to have huge crowds and fan groups behind them, so I think that'll be exciting to see who takes that second spot. But I wouldn't rule South Africa out. They've done well. It's the second African team to qualify for this World Cup, which is huge for them. It's that as well. It's going to be an exciting group.
You talk about nations that love their football, Italy and Argentina. Imagine the fan bases that are going to be attracted by these sides. And on Monday, when Italy play Argentina in Auckland as the group opener for those two teams, Sweden against South Africa in Wellington on Sunday. Yeah, Italy, Argentina. Already in the first week of action, we're going to see some pretty crucial clashes in terms of teams getting out of their respective groups, which leads us to Group H, the final group. It's based in Australia. Germany, Morocco, Colombia and Korea Republic. Germany seem like they have a pretty good, a pretty easy passage out of this group, don't they? Morocco 72nd in the world, Colombia 25th, Korea Republic 17th.
Yeah, Germany should get out of this group. I mean, we shouldn't rule out their result the other day to Zambia. But Germany are one of the top teams that haven't had too many injuries in the lead up. You know, USA, England, Netherlands have lost some key players. So, but Germany are looking all right. They're looking healthy. So I think they'll get out of their group fine. But Korea Republic are a pretty good team.
Yeah, and it's Germany-Morocco to start in Melbourne on Monday night. And the final two sides to hit the field at this FIFA Women's World Cup Tuesday night, Colombia against Korea Republic in Sydney. So 32 nations, all with, I guess, ambitions of various degrees of realism of going deep into this tournament. The first order of business is to get out of the group, and then the round of 16 arrives. And anything can happen in knockout football. So those are the 8 groups. We're going to every day bring you previews and reviews of the games involving these sides, so we'll be able to drill down a bit more into them. But just to finish, Bonnie, who do you like to emerge victorious in about a month or so?
I think the USA, everyone's picking them, but I think the reason I pick them is because they've got an easier side to the final, and they've been in so many finals and so many pressure matches that they will prevail when it comes to that moment. But who is up there with them? I mean, England, of course, the European champions. Australia, would love to see them there, or potentially Germany, a 1v2 final.
Yeah, and there's a couple of really good prospects for a dark horse as well. We both mentioned Portugal, and if they can exit that group at the expense of, let's say, the Netherlands, then Portugal are going to turn a lot of heads at this tournament. I just wonder whether they're a bit of a dark horse. I really like the look of Sweden as well, who seem to kind of fly under the radar when it comes to picking possible winners, but they are third in the world and have some pretty decent players on their roster as well. That is a very quick look at what lies ahead over the next month or so. Thank you for joining us. Tomorrow on the podcast, we will preview the first couple of games of action in this Women's World Cup, including New Zealand against Norway, followed by Australia against Ireland. The games are about to come thick and fast, Bonnie. We'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you then.
The Football Fever Podcast with Jason Pine and Bonnie Jansen, with Trees That Count. Donate a native tree and help us score the greatest goal. For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday, or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.